cool. It took a little delay, so it didn't get the whole intro, but it's all good. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Skinny Black's Lounge. We're in the lounge. My name is Rob, aka Skinny Black. Underneath,
Rennie.
cool. And to my right,
Your right or your left, man. I cover both sides. JT, period is silent. Hi, mom.
hey, cool. We in this thing. Hey, this is our first time really going live with everybody. I see we got one person in here. Hey, if you got any comments, go and put them in the chat. But we're gonna do like we always do. We're gonna start this out with a crowd favorite. Oh, and we also have the Ghost of Lebo. And you know, he's a ghost, so he don't say nothing. Ghost don't say nothing. So, but as we always do about this time, shit.
You know, man, I was thinking.
Uh-oh.
No, because you and I were talking, and you recently got back from your family reunion,
Right.
one of your family reunions. And so, you was telling me all the stories about the aunts, the uncles, to your pops, and that whole experience. And, as your parents get up in age and stuff is happening, you start reminiscing. So I was sitting back thinking about my mom, right? And my mom, she not funny, but she funny. Like her normal way of being is funny to me, right? My mom she ain't got no knock jokes, but she just be moving and I laugh at her. So she used to have this ritual when she drove, and it didn't matter what car she had, but she had her ritual. So she would get in the car, and the first thing she would do is adjust the rear view mirror as if somebody else drove her car. Nobody drove her car, but she adjusted, and she's 5 feet tall. So I'm like, what do you? So she adjusted, to Smurf height, and so she'll do that. Then the next thing she would do is she would turn the air conditioning on to both low and high. So what do I mean by that? It would be the lowest temperature possible at the highest output. It would be on low and high. Okay. I think she was just trying to freeze the devil out of the car. She was rebuking Satan. And it'd be the middle of summer, and I'm in a jacket and a beanie riding down Central. Anyway, the other part of her ritual, as we got advanced, because I got her this Lexus with a 6 CD changer. Remember the ones used to have the CD changer in the trunk?
Yeah.
I got her that, and she would turn on Luther Vandross. It didn't matter which CD out of the 6 you picked. They was all Luther Vandross CD. So the tradition is you got to be in there, adjust the mirror, freeze your ass off, and listen to some Luther, and then you about ready to take off. But then she had to do one more thing.
What was that?
She had to take her shoe off because my mom drove barefoot. Right?
Okay.
So she always drove barefoot. So one day I was like, Mom, why do you drive barefoot? She said, because I want to feel the car and feel the road. Which makes total sense except for one thing. My mama never drove the freeway, and she never got the car over 35 miles an hour. What is there to feel when you going 30 in a 40? Except for the anger of other drivers, right? My mom drove 2 miles faster than Usain Bolt's top speed when he was sprinting. I could have hopped on his back and got to the spot 5 minutes after my mama dropped me off. You ain't never been on what should be a 15-minute drive to take you 50 minutes, okay? Because you got to drive through every gang hood in LA to get to where you going.
Every light on Central.
Yeah, every light, okay? And stop at all of them because you ain't catching shit at 30. You got no momentum. So,
twice by the post office.
so the moral of the whole, what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter if it's logical or it works. It just matters if people are used to the ritual.
Mm.
And when they get comfortable with the ritual,
Mm.
they're going to do it no matter what the outcome. Let me give you 2 examples. The friend zone dude.
Mm.
He can be found at every happy hour from your hotel bar all the way down to Applebee's. He's the one dude with the 5 women at the Sunday brunch, acting like he know what a hollandaise sauce is, sitting there listening to that gossip, talking about beyond the gates, behind the gates, whatever gates they be talking about that show. You know, he's that dude that sits up watching some bullshit like The Notebook or Steel Magnolias or something with a chick, listening to how this dude did her this way, did her that way. Oh, you want some more of this mimosa? I pour it. So I like how you make it with the blackberries in it. You know, all in the hopes of getting some. This strategy has not worked for generations, and men have been warned, but it's the ritual that they can't stop. The second one, single women that go to other single women to get advice about marriage.
Mm.
That's like going to a salmon asking about flying. They just jump out the water. They going back in, right? So they not capable. But for generations, I've been watching it. When I was a kid, they used to have hair night, and I used to listen. I was just a kid. I didn't know. But now as an adult, I was like, damn, that was some bad advice getting handed out that damn kitchen and in that living room. Because all them women was single, except for the lady doing hair. She didn't want to say nothing because she wanted to mess up the money. So you barefoot, 30-mile-per-hour driving niggas, you on some sucker shit.
Thank you, brother. Once again, you're batting 1,000. I did not see that one coming.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you've ever had to drive from Jefferson to Fremont.
Dude,
and get caught
mom
every single light.
Man, mom used to have me like hot in the passenger seat. Mama, you know we stopping at every light?
Every single
Rennie, you called it by the
light.
post office on Central?
Man.
Oh, man. By both lights. By both lights. The one at Gage and that one halfway in between it.
You know? Oh, man. Hey. All right, cool. So we're gonna do things a little different this time. Now we got this new format. We got StreamYard. I just happened to move away from LA, out the way outskirts. So it's a little more challenging for us to be in person. So here we are on StreamYard doing our thing, but it also allows us ways to do some other stuff, some extra stuff, some engagement in the ways that we couldn't do when we were just
in the studio
together in person. Yeah, in studio. So first question. So I'm gonna tee this question up, then we're gonna watch this clip. So first question. So it's kind of a two-parter. So what are your best and most effective skills as a father that you had to pick up on your own because either you didn't like it as a child or it was non-existent? Let me repeat. What are some of your best and most effective skills as a father that you had to pick up on your own because either you didn't like it as a child or it was non-existent? Go ahead, Rand. I see the wheels turning.
I was waiting for my brother JT, the period of silence. But I would say the ability to own the moment, own the mistake, own responsibility in a way where it's not flattering.
Mm-hmm.
So to pause if you've misjudged something, to pause if you've erred and say, my bad,
Yeah.
to apologize and to recalibrate. Often as a child, I just saw that, hey man, you know that was wrong, but they would completely act like it wasn't relevant for the course of the argument. And I think it just makes me, um, kind of humanizes me, and it teaches us a level of responsibility and a way to be introspective by modeling introspectiveness.
Mm.
So they have to understand that in the moment, hey man, when you get the realization that you erred or that you misjudged something, or you have your moment of clarity, to do it at that moment and own it in that space, specifically a safe space with his family and things like that, so you can model that kind of behavior, and they can do that also.
Mm. Is that something that you felt like you did or did not like, or was missing as a child, or it was just non-existent?
Oh, no one owned it.
Oh, okay.
No one ever did it. You know what I mean? No one ever did it. No one ever, in the middle of, because as children, it's rare, but there are times when you're misjudged, or your parent or parents are presumptive about something, and not to say that it's never happened. It never happened in the moment. It will happen later on. But there's times I knew that realization was present at the moment. And I think doing it at the moment is a little bit more impactful.
Mm.
Doing it and owning it, period, is good. But in the moment, I think it's far more impactful. Because like I said, it recalibrates the understanding and the mood, and allows you to speak with more clarity. And then owning that moment allows you to drive home whatever point it is, whatever within this discussion, you could refocus it.
Mm. Mm. Thank you, brother. But hey, anyone else that's out there watching, feel free to put any comments in the chat. Be sure to like, share. JT.
That's interesting, man, because to piggyback off of Ren, it might be a generational thing, because I've never, as much as I love her, so when she hears this, love you, but my mother has never apologized. I've never heard her apologize. Now, it's like she'll do some stuff like, I made your favorite meal. Won't you come over and have a drink with me? Now, no, wrong. Won't you come have a drink with your mom? But as a kid, it was, she, hey, listen, I'm not afraid to say it. I love me some fried chicken, damn it. So she'd be like, I fried you some chicken. I'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna take this bribe. Gone. That's the best it's gonna get. I'm just gonna call it a day. So I'm with you on the apology in the moment. I didn't even get it in the future, the end, the nothing. Okay, but I did get 3-4 pieces out of it.
The 5-footer.
Yeah, she can fry some chicken, man. Get on her tippy toes, get to that stove. A couple things come to mind. This is something I won't say it was non-existent, but it was rare in my just growing up and hearing "I love you." So I make it a point that when now that I'm officially the father of 2 adults,
That's right.
but whether we're talking on the phone or I see with my kids in person, we don't leave or get off the phone without me saying I love you, or they'll say I love you first and I'll say I love you more. That's a tradition that we have, and I hope that they pass that down, you know, when they become, you know, parents, and give that love, because there's a reassurance in hearing that from your parents. I think it's even stronger, if I may step out on this limb, to hear it from your father.
Yeah.
I think it's more powerful when you hear from a man, um, just because of as how men sometimes we don't express these kind of things. So I think that that's a powerful thing. The second thing, um, the second thing is something that I had to learn in dealing with my daughter as opposed to my son.
Mm.
Um, my son was partly like boy all the way, so he didn't care. Part of him didn't care, and part of him didn't have that long of a damn attention span anyway to engage. But with my daughter, I had to have much more of an ear and be willing to have conversations with her that I didn't with my son.
Mm.
Sometimes they're not as intense or anything, but just hear her out. I had to listen to her process her emotions, process whatever happened. And I came to a realization that if she wasn't doing it with me, who would be her ear?
Mm.
And I think a lot of us as men, because of how we're brought up, we don't do that. And so if you do a combination of sending a young lady out into the world that is not used to her father listening to her,
Yeah.
and her father didn't say he loved her, what happens when she runs into the first dude that listens for 15 minutes and says it?
Right.
You setting your daughter up for the pole, homeboy.
Yep.
The pole of the stroll. You know, so those are two things that come to mind. And damn, man, I gotta call my mama, see if she's still gonna make me some chicken. Got me
Was she
reminiscing.
apologizing?
No, man, listen, you know, I do all the cooking for her, you know, so you know, but then but I take that back, because she don't make it like she used to, because we used to make it with the lard.
Oh.
And black folks don't cook like that, because they are old. Like I was telling you,
they can and
this,
sit Crisco
hey,
on the stove.
That
hey, Red,
funky
I
can.
was telling Rob on the side note, my aunt had her 70th birthday, and that it was more, man, it was so many canes and wheelchairs, and
Yeah, man.
I said, man,
Like, man, that
I
generation's
said,
going down.
I was like, who the sponsors for this? Orthopedics and Metamucil? What the hell is we doing? So, it was buffet style. It was buffet style, and they was the first. The brothers and sisters was the first table. I leaned back, told my cousin, "It's gonna be about 45 minutes till we get to eat, dog." Because I said we should have just made their plate.
Oh
For
man.
sure. For sure.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
No, well, I like the ritual, man. I saw a clip last week where this father, man, he just broke down. He broke down to his son, was like, this is a new ritual. I guess he was the first one to go to college. And on his first day, he gave him a chess king. He was like, we gonna start this new tradition of, when your son go to college, you give him this chess king. And just how he laid it out, man, was just beautiful. So I love what you're saying about rituals, and that ritual of saying I love you before we get off the phone, and some of the other stuff, man. That's pretty dope. I want to circle back to you, Rand, as the classic uncle, educator, mentor, now father. What have you picked up and learned from being all those things for everybody else's kids? What are the things you had a chance to sift and see what works and what doesn't work that you have in your plan to implement with your daughter?
I'm sitting the moment.
Mm.
Often I was nurturing in those spaces, but I was always planning something for them and my actions were always, not always, but a lot of the times with the intent of building upon something and being calculated, as opposed to just enjoying that moment and engaging them in that moment and allowing whatever it is that they're expressing to be in that moment and carry the energy at that particular time. We were playing and things like that, but there was always a sense of calculation with everything. Like, even specifically with the boys, and and trying to be mindful of how I'm communicating with them and trying to show them that there is a different level of communication in different spaces. So, okay, so you're in this room with your mother and your aunts and your grandmother. Okay, this is how I see how you're communicating here. But now that you've transitioned over here to your uncles and your grandfather and other men, cousins, like, because this is how you communicate in this space. So there was always an element of like probably like 2-3 steps ahead on everything. And so now just kind of sit in it and just block out the outside world, and not worried about the next day, not worried about the next hour, and just allow myself to just be and exist. And that's not something I did in general. It was even in outside of the whole that portion of the parenting it's the constant mind racing, calculating, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And it's allowed me to live in the moment a little bit more, even within myself, and then give myself some grace and not put so much pressure on myself to be as calculated and be that example or be that beacon, and I could take that and bridge that into what we are, putting what we're going to talk about, just that overwhelming sense of obligation that you place on yourself, to provide whatever it is, not just financial support, but like presence, stability, that ear, that JT talks about, and listening and being an active listener and listening with the intent for clarity and and only provide advice when solicited. So,
man, that I mean, you're hitting on something so important, especially when we talk about our daughters, our girls. I was basically a stepdad to my daughter. We started raising her age of 2. Before 2. And there were some points, and I have to say, I don't think I ever said this to JT, man. I would just watch, and there was just some things that we didn't get a chance to connect on. I mean, I understand that I wasn't her biological. She needed that from her biological. So I didn't try to push being that for her. That would have been something false for her, in my opinion, at the time. I really wanted her to find that connection so she could be what JT talked about earlier, like, so she wouldn't have that missing in her life. You know what I mean? So, but what I do and did admire, like, through the whole process, is funny you say now your daughter's an adult, man. She's 18 now, and I've watched how you've engaged her. And if I haven't told you, man, I'm telling you now, man, it's been straight up impressive how you've done exactly what Rand is talking about, being present in the moment, the thing you laid out earlier, just being able to calm your own self in the moment when she's talking, and just listening in a deep level and building that trust at a very young age, So when she got older, she got a chance. She was just sharing stuff with you, man, and she was coming to you. And I thought that was just so pivotal, so dope, man. So I just want to give you your flowers and props on that, Jay. And dope for you, Ren, for really making your own path in that same vein. I say for me, on the ritual piece, man, there was really no rituals with me and my mom. The only one that I could think of is just, Sunday mornings, got them salmon croquettes and some rice, man. That was, and biscuits with some syrup, man. That was after a full weekend of playing cards Friday, just all day Saturday night, and then got a chance to get them salmon croquettes and that white rice, biscuits and syrup. You know what I'm saying? That was dope. And with Pops, it was just, when I was out here in the summer, it was, Friday nights, we hit the little spot in Long Beach called Mari's. I still remember Mari's, thick pizza, man. They did a version of, I don't know this off the side. They did a version, like their own little version of Chicago style. It was thick, but it was like the cheese was on top of the toppings, which I thought was dope. It was dope. And then there was another little pizza spot up in Linwood off Long Beach Boulevard. We used to hit up on this our Friday night thing, hit some pizzas. But at the end of the day, man, I think my dad never talked, man. Even to this day, he talks a little bit more, but even to this day, it's like, it's not like pulling teeth, because it's the conversation is non-existent, right? So, hey, Dad, tell me about your childhood. Tell me about your father, how he engaged with you. What were some of the gems that he poured down to you? Pops was like, nothing. Wow. So how he treated me as far as wanting to be in my life was different for him and his father. Like, he felt like his father didn't want to have anything to do with him. So he was totally opposite with me. So I felt like I took that a little further in wanting to be in my kid's life. Man, I know I did. I probably, came up short, but I definitely wanted things to be different, us to be closer, to provide opportunities for conversation, to pass down gems. So, I'll own that I probably didn't do that well. So
can I just say something real quick?
Yeah.
I just want to say this, because this is very beautiful what we saying, and we waxing poetic. But I just want to add that it's okay not to like your kids. I was having a conversation with my son, and he said, "Well, I want to let you know I was disappointed." So I said, "Well, let me tell you about all the times you fell short, nigga." I said, since we gonna get it all out there, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I said, let me hear. I said, I got a few things out that's been pent up for the last 25 years too, homeboy. He 28, but I gave him the first 3 years as a pass. I said, it started off when you was 3.5. Now let's talk about it. And it slows his ass down sometimes, right? Because the point that I've hammered home with him. I'm in the beginning stages of it with my daughter. We're a couple years in, but we're many years into it with my son. Mm-hmm. Is I emphasize to him, I am not perfect. I'm your father. Right. I'm a man. Examine me on manhood. Don't examine me on perfection, because up against perfection and ideal, I'm going to fall short. But on manhood and being your father, I'm going to pass the test.
Yeah.
So it's a real serious thing, as Rand talks about the pressure and the expectation and all this stuff you put on yourself. I remember one Christmas, man, I had bought him all this stuff, and it was like, I'm gonna show him, and it was part guilt because I was working so much. And my man had, man, when I say a house full of toys, and he opened up one box and went in the corner and played with the gift wrap.
There it is. Yep.
Yeah, man.
And you said something real, man, about that.
Your world ain't they world. You just trying to blend the two.
And
100%.
you know, and it's not just the expectations that we put on ourselves as fathers. What I ran into is the expectation of my kids that I ain't even know about. They expected, they watching their other friends and like, oh, and figuring like that's how dad should be. And so I'm fighting the expectation, A, unspoken, and you know, they didn't have the tools to say it and speak it out loud. But B, it's like, okay, so now you want me to dunk on somebody else's rim, right? That ain't even me. I mean, and how do you know? You're a kid. You know what I'm saying? How are you putting expectations of parenthood when you just figuring out, you know, how to be straight?
In your infinite experience. I used to, when I was coaching, still coach, but you know, they would players would come, and I was always open to whatever. If you questioning the system and things like that, and if you were earnest in your question and like, hey, why can't we do this or why don't we do this? And I would be like, oh man, and no matter when, you know, we could be in the middle of something. I'm going to stop and go ahead and take that question. You know, and even though people wouldn't think, hey man, let's just finish something. Nah, man, let's engage this right now. Because if one person is feeling it, then the other people are also. And it may be like that when you know, multiple children, you know, they may have had that conversation amongst each other, but
right.
To sit down and get that kind of clarity immediately. And when they're so earnest in it and they insist upon it, I'm like, well, in your infinite experience as a coach, running offenses, you know, against multiple teams and all these years that you've been doing it, explain to me, you know, how that works for you. And then just to give them that honest perspective, you know. Yeah. And like, I may not know everything, but I know more than you.
Right.
And I know more than you on this within this perspective. Does not mean that your perspective is possibly wrong. But I have enough perspective to understand all of the enumerating factors that affect that particular thing. And I know what the percentages are and the likelihood are. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, you can dislike this, but this is the direction that we're going to go. You know what I mean? So you can buy a ticket and get on this bus, or, you know, or you can suffer the consequences of such. I mean, and hearing, I mean, JT joking about the, man, I got some, man, when I heard that, I don't like you, that was a life-changing moment for me. You know what I mean? I did not respond properly at the moment, but some years later, it hit me. Unfortunately, it took me a couple of years, but hearing that, forced me into a point of introspection. Because if somebody tells you they don't like you, the first thing that you're going, no matter what your ego is you're going to ask, well, why? Why am I not likable? You know what I mean? Because if a chick said that when you were younger, it's like, man, am I too skinny? You know what I'm saying? Am I ugly? You know what I mean? Am I too short? You know, like, what is it? There's going to be, it's not that much hubris that hearing something like that in a very blunt way, in an honest way, delivered honestly, even if delivered maliciously, you know what I mean, doesn't force some form of introspection. You know, it's gonna trigger something, and I think that's, you know, the ability to own things in front of them, mistakes and things like that, but you know, the ability to get them to reflect upon themselves in the same exact way. So as JT said, you know what I mean, you're not looking at me through some paradigm of perfection. That the sooner you get to understanding that doesn't exist, right, that fairy tale doesn't exist, the better off you are, and no matter when you learn it. So fuck the Santa Clauses and the tooth fairies and all that. Man, you can have a wonderful child without all that fucking fairy tale shit. You know what I'm saying? This real shit is just as amazing, if not more, and it's tangible. You can see it, smell it, touch it. You know.
Well, I mean, first of all, if it's coming from your son, a nephew, or a young man that you're mentoring or engaged with, and he says he doesn't like you, he's just proving that he's not a man yet, because he's bringing like to a love party.
Mm,
Yes, sir.
And
mm.
those are childish emotions when we talking about love. When we talking about love, especially for us, that means duty, that means honor, that means sacrifice, that means obligation, that
Yeah,
means your like is put to the side,
absolutely.
right? Okay. You know, I don't like it, man. I don't like a lot of stuff. I don't like you pissing on the seat. I don't like washing when you got the bacon strips in your drawers. I don't like a lot of stuff. But I still wash them. I still take care of you. You know. I don't like how slow you move in the morning. You making me late for work. You know what I'm saying? Like, but who cares about what I like? Who cares about how I feel? What I need everyone to know is when you go to the kitchen and you flip the switch, the light's coming on.
Magic.
100%.
It's magic.
And when you reach into the refrigerator and you open it up, it's stocked with
Magic.
everything you need. And after you eat what I provided, you go to the bathroom and use it. And that toilet flushes and you run that water and it's hot.
Hey,
That's all daddy.
that roll of toilet tissue is still there after, you know,
And
it
that
was
no, and
empty
what
when
I
you
did,
left.
and what I did don't have a damn thing to do with liking nobody.
Right,
Yeah.
right. You sound like my
Okay. The
man from
obligation in the bill cycle is once every 30 days you must make a payment. That's an obligation. That's not what I like to do. That's
Mhm.
what I have to do. And that's based on the fact that I love you. And that's what comes with my love.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Now, in a perfect world, in an ideal world, you give both like and love. But if you are asking me to make a choice right now, I'm going to choose the love and the obligations that come with it because you're going to find somebody to like. Go like your friends.
Right. Hey, Dio, can you load up that first video? Let's hit that thing. Fair use.
Parent. This is my experience of you. And then the first thing they'll say is, oh, so I was the worst parent ever. No, I wouldn't be here if you were a bad parent. I wouldn't purchase the home and give you that, you know, if I thought you were a bad parent. I wouldn't praise you the way I do if you were a bad parent. This is where I feel like something went wrong in my development. And I just want you to see what's happening to me. I'm coming to you because I'm trusting you. This is still me being vulnerable with you. They can't register it like that.
They think you're taking a shot.
They
have
think I'm
daughters,
taking a
Ryan?
shot. I have a daughter.
How does that affect the relationship that you had? Did you have with your mother? How's that affect the relationship and you raising your daughter?
So I have a 10-year-old daughter, 7-year-old son. So what I realized is because my parents wasn't affectionate and I felt like I turned out okay, that there was no need to give my children that kind of affection. You know, I didn't deem affection necessary. My son, you know, he's very affectionate. He's very sensitive and things like that. And I would just be like, toughen up, blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, he's going to the person he believes will protect him and he trusting with these emotions. And I'm sitting here going, get over it. I ain't even realizing what I'm doing to him. I'm drawing a line of disconnecting with him. He doesn't feel safe around me now.
What y'all think, gentlemen? How'd that land?
The duality of it, because there is a fine line that you have to weave.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's correct in that your son, let's speak specifically the sons.
Yes.
Your son, it's important that your son comes to you. You know, it would be optimal that he would feel safe around you. But you also have to prepare him for a world that he will not be safe in. So if you overcorrect in the it's gonna be okay, let's hug, let's talk it out area, and there's nothing wrong with that. but you don't balance that out with, now we did this, but let me tell you how the world's gonna treat you.
Mm.
But let me prepare you for what's outside of this door. Either one of those without the other is an imbalance,
Yeah.
right? But I will, again, if we're saying optimally, you get both. But the question I have to the group is, if you were given a choice,
Mm.
what do you choose on giving?
Wow. We choose
It's
safety.
binary. You
We choose the
gotta
word.
choose.
We choose the world, right? We choose protection,
If it's
protection from the world.
so, and the reason why I ask that is because if you don't prepare for the world, it does not matter what you did in that house.
Mm.
And as men, many men have made this calculation, and in their limited time, they chose to prepare for the world, because you can go from hard to soft. I just haven't seen anybody go from soft to hard, Paul.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so that's a calculation that men make often. Not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying it's a calculation. And when you say it amongst men, they nod their head. And I've said it amongst women, and they've looked confused
Mm-hmm.
because there's not an understanding of us. Sometimes we just on like, okay, this bag is only gonna hold 3 jewels. I know I have 7 to give,
Dang, that's right.
but this bag is only gonna hold 3. So what are the 3 that I'm gonna give him? And then hopefully we can come back around later on when his bag is a little bigger, and I can say, hey, I know I taught you this when you was 12, 13, 14, but now you're 22. Let me give you a little more game.
Yeah, man.
But if I didn't handle you at 12, 13, 14, we not having that conversation at 22, because you in the world to hurt.
You can't unring
I've
the
seen
bell.
too many young men out in the world that's not prepared for it. We have an obligation as men to not exist in the world that could be, even though we're trying to make the world different. We have to recognize the world that exists.
Yeah.
That is in our ancestry. That is in our DNA. I'm sure somebody was daydreaming on the cotton field, but the reality there existing was something different.
For sure.
Maybe a kid skipped by the white water fountain and dreamt about having a sip, but he wasn't about to take that ass whooping. So, so to the colored fountain we go. You know, so, until better days. You know. So I joke about it, but it's serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to arm our sons for the world that exists and how they're perceived, how they have to come across, how they have to work this society that we live in.
Yeah. And I can say, you know, I don't feel like I worked that balance, or my oldest son didn't receive that balance well, or lack of balance. Well, I was definitely overprotective on the world side. Um, Now he's 30, and oh man, we're in a much better place now. We're in a very good place now, which is cool. I think only Dio could tell you if I did a better job with the balance with him. Um, yeah, man, it's tough, bro. It's tough. Man. What hop in, Rand? What you got?
I mean, as you get older, there's a more of a
36
collaborative.
now. When I was 30, I was getting out of a 5-year relationship. My ex at the time asked
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. As you get older, there's more of a collaborative, so you learn to bring other people in to help you with those messages. So when you're younger, you don't quite have the understanding that that's not a weight that you have to carry on your own.
Yeah.
And so, and also when you're younger, you haven't created the proper circle. You haven't cultivated that circle, and pruned it
Yeah.
so that you could cut off certain influences. You know what I mean? Because if had I been a parent at 26, 25, you know, I got some partners, man, that wasn't good for my children. You know what I mean? I had some partners that wasn't good for me. So what they gonna do? And I loved them, still love them. You know what I mean? But what would they be able to do for me in that space, in that parenting space, when you needed that additional voice to come codify what you were saying and reinforce the things that you were saying, or just having that example to you so that they can see it. You know what I mean? I saw not just those men are related to me, work and provide and nurture. I saw the people they associated with do the same thing. So there was a level of purpose, and that was the norm that existed. And so I always felt the need, because I was taken care of by other men, to do so constantly. My man Darren Early always said, man, look, man, I got all these daughters. I need to, how will men show up for them? I need to go out there and prepare some of these young men to show up for my daughters and for other people's daughters.
Dope.
You know? So, you know, it's not just about, you know, my son at home and my, you know, his 4 daughters. It's about going out there and creating something for all those men. And I always felt that way. The ability, it was constant preparation. And, you know, all the things that I coached and things like that and engaged, those are just vehicles for manhood, for doing those things. And, you know, when I could be the ear to listen, what I was more adept at is making it acceptable for you to express that emotion, but having them understand that there's a very specific space for that. And if this isn't that space, I'm gonna give you some grace at this moment, and we're gonna pull this to the side. But these are the unsafe spaces for you as a Black man to express that. And JT said, man, it's a very, very fine line. It's a very fine line. Actually, no, it actually ain't that fine. It's pretty fucking pronounced. You know what I mean? I'm tripping. It is very pronounced, you know, and you know what it is. You know, my nephew, I tell him all the time, I said, hey, man, if a man asks you what's going on and how you feeling, he has said it, has expressed that, man, you be as honest as you possibly can. In that space. And I ain't talking about, hey, what's happening? I'm talking about, hey, man, what's going on? You have a problem with this? Yes. But you also have to be prepared to articulate why. And it better not be some kind of emotional space, you know. It has to be definitive, actionable items.
That part.
And giving them those things so that we're not operating on emotion. I'm going to handle you with emotion. Like, I'm going to be sympathetic to that emotion, but I'm going to give you tangible directives of how to maneuver out of that.
Yeah.
It's not going to be, it's okay, huggy, lovey, and no, I mean, affection isn't an issue. I'm affectionate, but is this the space? And okay, all right, now we've dealt with how you feel about the situation and why you felt that way. We don't necessarily agree on how you arrived in that space. You know, you may be feeling a certain kind of way about what transpired, you know, and you are right to have your emotions, but may not be justified in the route in which you got to that emotional state. But regardless of that, we still got to move on now. How are you going to put those away? How are you gonna put that space away and now move on to some things that we have to get done, huh? Right. Or are you gonna just sit here and dwell in that emotional state and just sit there and stew in that? You know, we can't do that. We don't have the space to do that.
Let's take. I want to take what you just said, because you said something key about your buddy. About, man, I need to make sure there are suitors for my daughters, proper suitors for my daughters. And so, you know, what is it? What's the ingredients? What's the formula in order to put together a husband?
I don't know. I'm not looking for one, nigga. No, just kidding. So
You got a son that's about to be one.
Hey, that's true. That's true. You know, this is the approach I've taken with my daughter. We've only had a couple of conversations ever about like what to look for in a man, just so matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, there's a couple of things that are in play. I talked about, you know, listening and really listening to understand, to comprehend what she's saying, what she's going through. I talked about telling her that I love her. And we've gone places and done things, but a lot of times it's just we'll hang out. You know, I'll pop some popcorn, we'll turn on the movie, and halfway through the movie we talking or laughing, or you know, and then some stuff will come out. But just to show her, like, okay, this is what when a man loves you and he's interested in you, it doesn't have to be something grandiose or crazy. You guys are in each other's presence, and that's enough. The person that you could just hang with a bowl of popcorn and a corny ass movie, more than likely is your person. The other parts of it is my character, how I show up, how hardworking I am, how dedicated I am. If you have that kind of relationship and with that man of that kind of character, then all the other stuff will fall into place. I think so many of us have it in reverse, that there's a checklist that if you really look at that checklist and a man check those boxes, he could still be a serial killer. Because nothing on this checklist, whether it's height, education, income, whether he's a homeowner or not, what kind of car does he drive, how many vacations can we take, you know, how he presents himself. Okay, all of that, I got it. But let's say you check all of those boxes and number 27 is his character or parts of his character. His loyalty.
Yeah.
Value in his word.
Yes.
His circle. Who was he around? His drive. His family. How he views his family. What responsibility is he taking on in his own family as a leader or as a follower? Is he following men that mentor him? Or is he taking on the responsibility of a family already and stepped into man's responsibilities? You too busy on he's 6'3", light skinned, and he make good money.
Right.
I want to take that out of her equation and plug some more what I think are important components that will lead to more success on the back end.
Yes.
And the final thing is I want to show her the value of the build. And I think that we are losing the value of building something together as men and women, as a family. You will get a higher level of loyalty out of a man that you built something with. This is not foolproof. Stuff happens along the way. But if you came at the end or in the middle of the journey, you are in many ways an accessory, no different than the car he drives. But if you were there at the bottom of the mountain and walked there with him, you are as essential to that man as the feet on his body that he's climbing the mountain with.
Yes.
And these are the things that I have made my best attempts to show and convey, and to also that I'm putting it on my son to say, you be those things and find someone that values that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that part.
Yes.
Just,
And don't, some stuff you can't fold on.
Oof.
You can't fold on your character and your principles. I'm not talking about who gonna put up the dishes on Tuesday night.
Right.
That's the goofy shit we argue about. I'm talking about, okay, no, this is the line. These are my principles. This is my core. I'm not, okay. And if she walks away, that's not the one for you. If a woman looks at you and say, I don't agree, but she respects you for standing on it, it ain't about agreement all the time. That's your woman right there.
Mm-hmm.
Because respect is greater than love anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Hell. So,
Yeah.
you know how many times people done fell in and out of love?
For sure.
Watch what
For
happens when your
sure.
woman don't respect you.
Hey, man, after 28 years, I think my wife and I had about 14, 15 relationships or more. and on that, I like that agreement piece that you said versus respect. I'll take that even further and be like, even on the agreement, there's a phrase that I don't know. I gotta unpack how I feel about it, where it comes from, how I feel about it. But when I hear agree to disagree, I don't hear understanding in that statement. I don't hear, oh, I see where you're coming from. I just don't agree. I hear we agree to disagree, and we go in the opposite corners. And you know, and how that's played out hasn't, has played out like, oh, you you don't agree, but do you understand? Do you see the perspective? And that's what I'm more not worried about. That's what I'm more interested in. I'm interested in, okay, you don't have to agree, but do you see where I'm coming from? So anyway, I know that's aside. So Ren, we're gonna hit into this next clip. Any advice, any sprinkles of gems, anything that you would pour into a young man in order to give him the best chance of being a good husband?
I mean, too many things that are are running through my head at the moment. Let's
Top
jump into
two.
the next clip I could jump in. You know what I mean?
Oh, next clip. Want to hit the next clip? Dio,
Yeah,
hit
yeah.
that second clip, Dio.
Good question.
Okay.
Would you learn how to play basketball from a football coach?
I guess not.
Would you learn how to play basketball from a football coach?
No.
If you want to learn how to cook, who would you want to
chef.
teach you?
A chef.
If you want to learn how to drive a car, who you want to teach you?
A driver?
If you want to learn how to fly a plane, who gonna teach you?
A pilot?
How are y'all learning how to be wives and your mother wasn't a wife? You just said if you want to learn to fly a plane, you're gonna go to a pilot. You want to learn how to cook, you're gonna go to a chef. Women don't know what's intrinsically important to a man. They don't know how to be a wife because their mothers wasn't wise. In general, women are raising their daughters to be single mothers because they are single. They're single mother, and they like, I'm gonna teach you how to be strong. And my mama told me I don't need no man. And they have raised you to be a single woman.
That's terrible.
And go be educated, so you don't need to depend on no man. And get you an education and go to college. They have groomed you to be a single mother. But if you want to be a wife, you have to learn how to be a wife from a wife, the same way you will learn how to cook from a chef. Then once you surround yourself with other wives, then you will know what's intrinsically important to a man. A lot of y'all women ain't even wives. And you married.
Oh, fair use on that clip. Ren.
Broke up on me?
Now I'm here. Go
Now
ahead.
you back. You back.
There you go.
Okay. I mean, it's a little binary in the sense that I wouldn't say you're teaching them to be a single woman. You're teaching them to be an independent entity. And I think the wording there is important. There is method to creating synergy with another person. You know what I mean? There is a process to creating a synergistic existence with someone else where you can come together and having an aligned vision for how you want to lead your life, how you want to live. And if you've never been exposed to that, and if you've never seen that, then you are working from a deficit. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. It's just like us trying to figure out, if you're a man and your father wasn't an affection and grandfather wasn't an affection, and you were trying to figure out how to balance that level of affection for your children and prioritize when it's necessary and how to nurture in those ways. So I definitely agree with it in that standpoint. You know what I mean? Like, and then it takes women to have an understanding that they need to seek out those things. They need to seek out women who have that knowledge. And if you're not doing that, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You know what I mean? It's been said, like JT said in the sucker shit, you know what I mean? You sit down and getting that advice. I've never sought out advice, relationship advice, from people who don't have successes in their relationship. And I'm not saying that, I'm not speaking to people, isolating people who had never been married and haven't had long relationships that out of the situation, but I needed to have seen some successes.
Right.
I need to have seen them in a fruitful space where they're engaged, and I've seen that level of interaction. And then I need to assess if their circumstances, the things that they have apply to me.
Right.
Like, what are similarities in this relationship with me? Because at the house I grew up with a man on 10 and a woman on 2. I'm not a 10 man. I'm not on 10. I'm not here. I'm not operating at peak like this. You know what I mean? I am more quiet and subdued and not vocal in various ways. I move very silently in the home. Unlike, the man that I grew up with that was like, oh man, I'm hungry. I need this. You know what I mean? I operate very differently. So there's certain elements of the relationship that I cannot identify with. I have to find those things in there, my space of where I can identify those things and look at those successes that they have and see how I apply those things in my relationship. But ultimately, I have to seek people who have that. And if you're not looking for that, if you're not trying to cultivate that, just like like he was saying, within the vocations, man, you're looking for people that know how to do it. You know what I mean? Your grandmother's good in the kitchen and your mom's not, you're gonna sit in the kitchen with your grandmother.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn how to make those things, those family meals and that you have. You're gonna learn those things from that person, if your aunt is that person, or if your mom is that person. You know what I mean? You have to seek those things, and if you're not actively seeking them, then you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. I'm gonna hit you right in a second, Jay. I just want to follow up on that. I think you're right. I agree with that. If you don't have those things in your life, I think you still need some intention, which you just spoke to, some sort of wisdom and discernment. I think with that, then you could take that and say, well, I want to be a spouse, and with that, I'll use the wisdom and discernment and intention that I have within me along that path of intention of being that. At the same time, knowing that the mortar in between the bricks, the glue, the intrinsic stuff that they don't talk about in books, you could probably mostly get from folk who already did it. It's like an apprentice, right? It's like, this is what the instructions say, but here's what happens if you don't do X, Y, or Z, Y, or TU. I think that's the value of having spouses in your life if you want to be a spouse. Jay.
I would say two things. Let me see if I can tie it in. I would say that anything without moderation or regulation can turn something that's good for you into something that's detrimental or bad for you. Very simple example is take 2 aspirin, your headache is gone. Take too many, you ain't got to worry about another headache again.
That's it. That'll be your last headache.
Because if you don't regulate and moderate it, it will become detrimental to you. There's nothing wrong with being educated, with being self-sufficient. As a matter of fact, in the world I come from, that's called being an adult. Now, a lot of people want to be celebrated for that, but that's just what I thought the hell you were supposed to do. But that's another subject. So, but when you put that independence on steroids and wear it as a badge of honor, then it becomes detrimental to relationships. There's no other relationships that we have in life where we brag about being independent. Nobody goes to the job and say, I'm going to lock this cubicle down. Don't nobody come near me. I'm independent. This is my area. I got this. This my pencil. These are my staples. And I run this over here. And can't nobody tell me nothing. And give me my promotion. No, you collaborate at work. You make alliances.
Right.
You look for mentors. You don't do that as a parent. Right? Can't nobody tell me nothing. Well, some do, and that's why they pretty crappy parents. But you look for wisdom and you look for people to know things. And even in a relationship with your children, right? It's interdependent. They depend on you. Right? And then there's an honor that they depend on you, that they look to you for that kind of guidance. Why is there such an emphasis on that independence? Because on the other side of it is fear. And what there really is they're not teaching independence, they're teaching fear. The second part of it is, I know what I would like in a wife, but I'm not going to ever be one, so I can't tell you how to be one. I ain't no wife. I ain't going to be no bridesmaid. I ain't going to be none of that, nigga. So what I can say is this. Rennie earlier was talking about circle and cultivating it and the people around you. I became a father at 22. And the first thing that I had to do was get rid of the number one enemy. What I diagnosed was going to be the number one enemy to my success as a father. Actually, I was 21. Take that back. And that was the dude in the mirror.
Yes, sir.
And an amazing thing happens when you change. Some people just going to go away. You don't have to give them the invitation. They just not going to be around you no more. It's a reason why deadbeat dads don't hang around with stand-up dads.
That's right.
Because once you start getting into the conversation about fatherhood and this and that, and he ain't seen his kid in 6 months, 9 months, and it's not some situation where he going through it, he ain't got a leg to stand on with the men, right? So he either is forced to address it and change or kick the spot.
Yeah.
That's how that works. So while I would love to wax poetic about women and this and that, my main focus is what I have power over. And I know some folks wanted to marry me because they saw a husband. I put it to you that way.
True. And to that point, it's interesting. My wife and I had this conversation some years ago, and I was talking about wife school, and she was like, "Well, what's wife school?" I was like, "Your husband. I mean, if y'all already married, wife school is your husband." if you learn, and I think Rennie, you touched on this. If you learn and wanted to know and had some intention about this person that you've committed your life to, wants, likes, desires, visions, dreams, then and it's reciprocal. Absolutely, it's reciprocal. Then spouse school is learning one another, so we can do life together, right? So wife school is having conversations with your husband and vice versa, right?
Man, that mean my ex-wife didn't want her GED. Agree.
Worked out, man.
we was East Side High, nigga. Like Joe, we needed Joe Clark. We used to be arguing in the living room. It was an episode of Highlander going on in there, boy. There could be only one. Thank God for growing up. Thank God for growing up.
Hey, Dio, hit that next video, man. Hit the next video.
No, that's not gonna work for me.
I know, because it's not your program.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you been on a man program? No, he always been. Where you want to eat, bro? Where you want to go, boo? When you get your hair done, boo? What you said you been? No, you call me and ask me what I want to eat. I'm not calling you every 5 seconds. No, I might not call you for 2 days. And I might not want to see you all this week neither. Carry your ass home. Yeah, and I'm not fucking no other bitches. I need peace from you. I need to think so I can get better at things that I'm doing.
No, that's not gonna work for me.
I know, because it's not your program.
Yes.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? It's not your program. Of course it's not.
It's only not gonna work for me.
Yo, she was dumbfounded.
I know it's not gonna work for you. It won't. No.
She's trying to cop.
Yeah, like
trying to process it.
No,
It's not your program. No, it's not your program. Usually it's not. It's usually though, because we use everything that works for you. We usually do.
She's still trying to process it.
Yeah. See, you never been on the right program. You always been the boss. You always been the prize in every relationship. Yeah. So when I become the prize, is I act like you. Don't I seem obnoxious? Don't I? I act just like a girl. I seem unbearable, obnoxious, hard to get along with. Don't I? I'm just like you. You turn me into you. Thanks, boo, for teaching me this stuff. Giving me boundaries and stuff to stand on. You don't like when I act like y'all nice guys. Act just like them.
I like it.
You don't like it, right? Your program ass, ain't it?
I'm a hoe too, and that's my little shit.
Yeah,
and we twins, but I don't like it.
Yeah, that's how we been living.
That's how men.
That's how men been living.
I like that.
So now that we're gonna reverse this thing, and I got boundaries, sis.
I'm saying my boundaries are ready to fuck set. That's why I'm single. Cause I
got them too though.
Oh
now.
my God, when I think about it, maybe I gotta change the way.
That's how you talk. That's how you feel. Don't you sound like a creepo? That's how I sound. Like this nigga just want everything. It's my program.
But you know what?
She fucking her up with this. Yeah, she's like, what the fuck? Yes. Ask any woman.
Get with the program.
No, fucking no.
Fair use. So, too quick. I noticed it was. Yeah. So, what is a program, gentlemen? What does he mean by program, and why is it important to a brother who's in a relationship or not?
See, you trying to start something, but it's okay.
I'm just
No, that's all right. So, first of all, I mean, that's an extreme example, and that's a good
It is an extreme, but
extreme example. Because I was gonna say, with all due respect to that brother, his program don't include dental. Because that grill was mixed with Cadillac and Buick. But when I yeah, that's what I'm saying. When I teeth was gangbanging. When I think of it in terms of a program, I would prefer this. I would prefer that you have as a man, you have a vision, and a direction, a North Star in terms of where you're heading. That you provide something for somebody to believe in, to hold on to, pour into at times. But that is more of the program. The petty, like, I'm the prize stuff. I mean, man, listen, I stopped playing tetherball in elementary school. Don't ask me to get back out there.
Right.
So I'm not gonna have that conversation about that prize stuff.
Right.
But what I am going to say is I have a vision, and I have a way that I want things to go for myself, for my family, for people I care about, for people I look after, and for people that look after me. That a lot of it is I can't waver. I can't get off of this, right? My character is part of my program.
Yeah.
I don't care how good you look in that dress. I don't care what you whispering in my ear. I show up at 6:45 a.m. on Monday.
Mhm.
No, you can't get me to lay here. No, you can't. No, I'm gone. I'm out. I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
That program, that vision is going to stay fixed. Now, within that, there's room to play.
Yeah.
But we just cannot get off the goal. We just can't do it. There's too much of importance riding on this.
Yes.
You know, there's generational things happening. You know, so that's how I look at it. Now, what I will say is, now on a separate note, one of the things that I enjoy doing is taking what somebody says is their philosophy and then examining it.
Mm-hmm.
Because what most people are just parrots, and they're just repeating what they've heard. It's not even something they really practice in their own lives, but they just talking.
Yep.
And then sunlight is the best disinfectant. Let's hold it up and examine it, and let's see.
Yeah.
And if that's your real philosophy, are you willing to ride it all the way out?
Yeah.
Are you willing to see how it turns out in the end and not complain?
Mm-hmm.
And when you get to the end of the story, be what's his name? Frank Sinatra. I did it my way. Is that how you go? Is that how you go ride off into the sunset?
Right.
Then you got my respect. Hell, you worked your program, and that's how it ended. You know, the dude that's standing on the corner with a sign to say, "I just want something to drink," he probably get the money from me.
Oh, definitely.
He said, "This is my program. I'm letting you know. I'm on this corner. I'm gonna get faded, and when you drive by tomorrow, I'll be right here again."
Yep. I've given that dude money. Hey, I just want to get a beer. Yeah, man. Get a case. Get a 6 on me, man.
And as I'm saying, as crazy as it sounds, he on this program. All programs aren't positive. All visions aren't positive.
Yeah. And once you set a goal, it's funny how the brain works. I think Rennie and I talked about this one time. Like you got them dudes. And, hey man, I want to get with the best chicks, as many chicks as possible, and that's what they end up doing in their life. But they life represent that, right? Okay, that's your program. What I did like about what dude said, there was 2 things in the middle of the hyperbole and all the wishy-washy, all the crazy stuff that was happening in that conversation. 2 things he said that I dug. He said, I need to be by myself for peace, and I need to be by myself to work on my stuff. I dug that. Brent.
I mean, I just echo what JT said about having your program. The rest of that, I mean, I can't even entertain all
Yeah,
that other
yeah.
stuff and all those whims. All that stuff was
hmm
whimsical. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
And all that stuff that they were speaking of really was largely directly on predicated on mood. And I mean, man, you can't manage a relationship based on mood. You know what I mean? You have, you know, a set of principles, you have a direction, and how you prioritize and weight those things, you know, kind of what JT was talking about earlier as far as like getting his daughter to prioritize
Yeah.
these things of substance over these things of material. And it's not to say that, man, if the material is important to you, then cool. That I get that. You know what I mean? Like we were talking, you and I were talking about previously about, you know, how important physicality and looks are and things like that, man. But you're also saying when you prioritize those things
hmm
that you're willing to deal with the consequences
Everything that come with it.
what comes with that. And you know, we know certain cats that want to do that. You know what I
Sure.
mean? There's certain cats and they live that lifestyle. That's not mine. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's not my lifestyle. But you know, the cats they live that lifestyle. They roll with it. You know, they know that it's if it is certain things are kind of vapid and shallow. But hey, man, they have no problem with that. And wash, rinse, repeat.
And repeat.
You know what I mean? Cool. But that's all that minutia, man. All that kind of stuff gives me a headache, man. That whole little exchange.
Yeah.
I don't even feel the need to go back and forth with a person like that. Like, oh man, come on, man, miss me with that. Like, you know what I mean? I don't have the energy for that. You know what I mean? Like, nah.
Now, there's something that both of you, I think all of us, I know that all of us are about vision, goals, and really being on our square and really living a life of intention, really living a life that's going somewhere to make an impact in not only our lives but the lives of our family and you know subsequently the world. You know, it's gonna happen. So Dio, hit that next video and let's see a quick contrast.
Book, and there was a passage that said, once you realize the power of your thoughts, you won't just think anything. Once you realize the power of your words, you won't just say anything. And once you realize the power of your presence, you won't just be anywhere.
Fair use. Thoughts?
Well, I must have realized the power of my presence a long time ago.
Yes, you have. Absolutely.
Because I ain't showing up to hardly nothing. Okay.
Yes. And when it's time to go, you go.
I go. No, but you know, on the real, that's what that young brother is saying is really powerful stuff.
Mm-hmm. Realize
I say
thoughts, words, and presence. Yeah. Go
ahead. I say what people think is some crazy stuff. Yeah. Sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's not crazy. Right. And it's stuff that a whole bunch of people are thinking, haven't put it together in the way I put it together, maybe. But the conclusions, the premise, all that stuff is right there. It's all dialed in. Mm-hmm. But there's a power in the words and the presentation. There's people who are masters of it. There are master salespeople and presenters. You're getting sold something all the time, constantly. That's the power of the word. That's the power of the visual. That it plays out in front of you all the time. You're not even conscious of it. You know, the absence of it. Grandfather that hardly said anything, but then let him open his mouth, and the whole world stops. Mm-hmm. Right? Because he's measured. And lastly, and I think most importantly, the power of your thought. Yes. Your thoughts. It brings something to mind that I'll talk about it later, but your mind, nothing happens without your mind doing it first. What you even think is a reaction is not a reaction. Your mind just moves faster than your body does. Your mind is in control of it all. And so whether it's positive or negative, your mind is in control. So I can't make you believe in you. I can open up opportunities for you to see something different, but that belief has to come from inside. I can model something for you to shoot after until you get your feet up under you, but that ultimate decision is a personal one. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Hey, I gotta say, before Rand hop in, I gotta say, I've experienced the 31, almost 32 years of friendship. I've experienced your words and how you say things that you're right. People were probably already thinking, scared to say. And I've seen the impact of it in a room. I watched people just freeze after you said something that was so obvious. But what I interpreted as, how I took it was, look at the freedom this man walks around with. That's freedom, brother. That's to say what needs to be said authentically, thoughtfully, and with wit and humor like you do, and directly, is freedom, brother. And what I experience and see is that you have shown people in doing that a way of wow, I have permission to be free. And it's a mirror reflecting back to them that they're not free because they're scared to say it.
Well, thank you for that. Two things. I would say that, first of all, if you get an apology from me for offending you, it's a sincere apology, because if most of the time when I'm offending you, I'm doing it on purpose. So I'm not going to apologize for it. So if I apologize, it means I really oh, my bad. Other times people be mad. I don't say shit. I be like, oh, well, nigga, shit. I said what I said. So that's it. TBN, tune in. Tough break, nigga. So the second the second part of it, I'll give you an example. I take someone to the airport recently, and I pull up the terminal, and she said, well, don't you want to move up there? And I said, no, you want me to move up there. I put this motherfucker in park right here. Then she said, well, can you move up there? I said, oh, no problem. Absolutely. And drove right up. And she smiled. She smiled. She was like, I see what you did there. I was like, say what you want.
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, don't try to make your thoughts my thoughts.
Right.
Right. I showed you what I was thinking. The car's in park.
Where I thought it should be.
The terminal is right there. Now, if you don't want to take them extra 6 steps, I'm cool with it.
100%.
Go ahead, Ren.
Oh no, man. I'm gonna roll with that in the economy of words. You know what I mean? Like it's the economy that JT possesses, and that's what the statement the brother made. That it's the economy of it. It's the right number of words saying it succinctly without filibustering and going on and elongating a point that could be made succinctly. And when it's made with the proper economy, it hits home far greater than that 15-minute filibuster.
Right.
And that is, if JT is anything, it's the economical. It's no wonder he does the finance and run and is GM because the economy of words is perfect. That also you could be you can be too short. And like, people always say, move with intention. And those three statements that brother made is the epitome of moving with intention, but gives it it illuminates it in a way that you have a full understanding of what it is. That your words matter, that your thoughts matter, and man, your time sure does. Specifically, the economy of time, when you think about those that you've lost and what you would do to have that, to have just a little bit of time back with them, just the little bit of it. I used to tell my students all the time, when you fail a class, it's forfeiting 28 days of your life, because that's the exact number of days in a semester, amount of hours when you fail a course. And, if you come in here just to not do it and to not accomplish anything, if I told you that you were giving away a month of your life, how would you feel about that? So, economy. For sure.
Yeah, I wanted, thank you both for that. I wanted to juxtapose those two clips and to show how powerful those few sentences that man said, the power of your thought. If you knew the power of your thoughts, your words, and your presence, you would protect it. You would move differently, you would think differently, you would talk and speak differently. That felt so much more powerful and impactful saying, because that's a program. Like, that brother has intention, that brother has a vision. Like, okay, I'm only going to speak as I'm only going to speak, think, and be where I want to be intentionally. That's a program, right? And that brother will be way more successful than the first cat. I mean, even in dental plans, I think he's more successful. Let's close out the last subject with the last video, Dio.
Where's happiness on my priority list? It wasn't there at all.
So we hear a lot about Black Superwoman, but have you heard about John Henryism and the way it impacts Black men? First of all, I want to thank Aldous Hodge for sharing this example, and I want to use it to show how John Henryism negatively impacts Black men and the communities that they live in. I'm going to do that by showing how I would address this if this were my patient and what we would address together. As a psychologist, professor, scientist, and podcast host that specializes in Black health and well-being, cultural education is embedded in our session. So we would start with education, because you can't address what you don't acknowledge, you can't acknowledge what you don't recognize, and you can't recognize what you haven't been educated to see. So John Henry was a Black man of immense physical strength and determination. He was a railroad worker who raced a steam-powered drill to prove that he could outmatch the machine. He won that race and then died with a hammer in his hand. Okay, so now let's fast forward to today. Many Black men, whether they realize it or not, are living the modern day version of John Henry's story, striving endlessly, pushing past limits, and holding the weight of generational survival on their shoulders, all while suppressing their needs for happiness and rest. And the mindset that helped our ancestors survive relentless oppression is John Henryism. It's a high effort coping style where you work harder and you push longer and you carry more, which can be due to many things, such as a limited definition of what success is, which comes at a cost. Now, when it comes to John Henryism, it's important to acknowledge the surviving oppression point, because this was born out of necessity to relentless oppression and racism and bias and adultification and dehumanization. So here's how this shows up in Aldous Hodge's story.
Because sometimes, growing up, when you're raised in survival, and I'm talking about my family, we done been through it. We used to live in our car. We've been homeless a few times. We've had people try to come and take our lives. You know what I'm saying? That's normal.
This hustle, it wasn't born out of luxury. It's survival. For Black men, living in survival mode often means believing you can outwork oppression. But the same drive to endure will lead to hypertension and depression and other health risks. When I see a patient struggling with this, we would start with reframing the mindset. The first thing we work on is understanding the obligation to always appear strong. For many, The fear of being seen as weak keeps them pushing past their limits, if they even know what their limits are. I would tell my patients to learn more about, we would talk about how true strength isn't solely about carrying the weight, it's also knowing when to put it down. We would also refocus on redefining what strength and success looks like, because many Black men equate productivity with their worth. It's a mindset that's rooted in survival and dehumanization and the constant need to prove themselves. So in therapy, we'd work together to redefine their worth, showing them that they are valuable simply because they exist, not because of what they can produce. We would also work on increasing comfort with taking breaks, not as a sign of weakness, but as strength.
Almost. So you grow up with this hustle, and when it comes to, oh, I want this, or this is going to make me happy, sometimes in those situations, you think that, or you're taught that if I go for this, this is going to harm me or shut me down, hold me back, or kill me. Because to choose happiness, you have to be vulnerable.
So we would address this by first acknowledging that vulnerability can feel dangerous when survival is the priority. Many Black men feel like expressing their emotions opens them up to criticism or failure. And that has happened to them before. So in therapy, I would encourage healthy emotional expression. We would even talk about increasing the comfort level. Suppressing emotions may feel protective in the moment, but in the long term, it really creates stress and disconnect. Vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's a gateway to healing. And we would start small. So we would talk about practicing how you feel in low stakes situations. For example, if you're feeling frustrated about something minor, saying something such as this is frustrating, and over time, you'll build the muscle to express bigger emotions when it matters most. It's important to realize that this is the result of adultification and dehumanization when it comes to Black boys who also become Black men. Some individuals have expressed their emotions and they were told to stop, they were called weak, or it was used against them. So we can't expect individuals to just express their emotions without acknowledging the fact that it's never been safe for them to do that in the first place. So we need to build that trust so that they can feel comfortable expressing. It's not enough to just say express. You also have to acknowledge the fact that it's never been safe to do that.
I'm at a point in my life where I'm at the highest place in my career and I can't see it because I still have a trouble with saying that I'm successful.
Does this sound familiar? So it's important to realize that John Henryism doesn't just impact individuals, but entire families and communities. It's a symptom I see often, a sense that no matter how much you achieve, it's never enough. It's the belief that you have to keep running, keep striving, keep proving yourself, even when you've already succeeded. So for a patient who feels this way, we would focus on practicing self-recognition and redefining what success means. If you notice, I said that twice because that's a really key point of this. Productivity-focused work leads to overexertion. Patients may feel like they constantly need to prove themselves to feel valuable. So we would have to work on separating worth from their output. Also, we are in a society that often values Black bodies for their labor, always. So we acknowledge the importance of redefining their worth to help them reclaim their humanity. And I would work with the patient to help him see himself as more than as a whole individual, not just a tool for production or a symbol for resilience, but as someone who deserves rest and joy and fulfillment. We can talk about writing down wins every week, big or small. Take a moment to reflect on that. Did you help someone today? Did you make time for yourself today? Because those moments count, and success isn't just about accolades. It's about alignment with your values and joy in those accomplishments. So value identification would be really important in this because you can't stick to values that you don't know exist. It's about recognizing that you're enough. Now, let's talk about transformation, because it's one thing to recognize these symptoms, but like, how do we start rewriting the story overall?
Because I got this little person who is nothing but love, I don't have a choice but to be vulnerable. I have to be open. I have to look at myself as an individual and reassess my relationship. I got to divorce myself from the old me and come into who I'm supposed to be right now.
Now, the decision to work on something is a strength, and it's always important to highlight strengths. Having someone you care about, a child or a partner or a community, can be a powerful motivator to change those connections. They can be powerful drivers, but the truth is the most important reason to redefine your worth and prioritize your well-being is you. Your healing cannot hinge on anyone else. You deserve rest. You deserve healing. You deserve joy simply because you exist, not because others depend on you. When a patient tells me this, we work on understanding that, in Aldous Hodge's words, the divorcing the old you isn't about abandoning survival. It's about evolving. It's about integrating the strength and added tools to thrive. This is where we would start practicing what meaningful and realistic rest means to them, because I'm not about to tell you to just stop doing everything. Your worth isn't tied to how much you do. Your presence, your ability to show up fully as yourself is what matters. And rest allows you to be more present, not just survive, but actually live. We would start small. We can talk about scheduling non-negotiable rest and understanding that you don't have to do it alone. Rest is resilience, and vulnerability is strength, and healing is very much possible. Once again, my name is Dr. Raquel Martin. Please let me know if you'd like to hear more about this. As you know, I'm all about burning the cape, but I'm also about Black men breaking the hammer. And
Cool. Fair use on that. Yo, she said a lot. It was a lot there. I'll just begin by saying, hey, we gotta protect this chick at all costs. She can help some good brothers out there. Thoughts, gentlemen. I will say this. I'll lay this out there for framing and reference. There was a part that she was speaking of that reminds me of something I used to, and I still do, work with clients who are successful. And I say, you know what? There's more than likely, and I hear their stories, and I'm saying more than likely, what I'm hearing is that the drive that you have for success was probably born out of some sort of pain or trauma, some sort of lack, some extreme lack, some sort of extreme trauma, some sort of extreme pain. And it drove you to be successful. Now that you are successful and those things don't exist anymore, those things that drove you to that success don't exist anymore, you don't have to act that way anymore. So what in your life do you need to let go? And I've heard complete silence on the other end of the line. But once these brothers start talking, amazing and deep stuff have come out, conversations have come out of that. So I'll frame that just in that little one part of what she was saying, but feel free to tap into anything that landed with you from what she laid out. You got it, Jay.
Okay. Well, first of all, I appreciate her efforts and what she's trying to convey. But if I'm going to be honest, and ultimately, I'm going to be honest.
Oh, for sure.
I think that was the perfect example of one of the main differences between men and women. Because I got more, I didn't count the words, but somewhere between 10 to 20 times as many words were used by her. But the impact I felt and I got was from what the brother was saying.
Yes.
To me, this is like, and it's dope, don't get me wrong, because she's like she's speaking in a more feminine way of talking to describe us.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, okay, that's probably more digestible for women to hear from a woman explaining it. Mm-hmm. Right. So I understand it. But there was a part of me that was kind of like, well, I mean, I ain't need the reading rainbow version of understanding what I've been through, because I could relate to what the brother was saying, So that hit me. The second thing that hit me is that of how different we are and how we're being trained not to understand or acknowledge it, not forget understand, to not even acknowledge it. And then number 3 is I love her calling out the John Henryism, as she's calling it.
Yes.
But then there's another part of the John Henryism, which is the pressure that our own women put on us to do it.
It is the empathy, but still the ask. So while the empathy is performative.
It's very rare.
But even if it does exist, you know what I'm saying? Like it's, oh, are you okay? But you're still in the demand mode. So
no, brother. Let me finish. Let me land this, because we're on the same page. Just listen to my thought.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Even in like, you should rest. Let's go on a vacation. And let's go to the place I wanted to go to anyway.
That part.
So even when, like, I did this for you. It just happened to be all the shit you wanted to do, but you did this for me, you know. And so there've been a few times in my life where um, I got love for love's sake and care for care's sake, and they stand out and they're so special to me, and I realize it because it's not too often.
It rarely ever happens.
Everybody goes outside for a lunar eclipse
because it's so rare.
Because it's so rare. And to be loved for love's sake and cared for care's sake, because somebody loves you, that they just care for you and they have no intention, no nothing. You know what? No, I don't care what you say, what you do. Sit down, be quiet, and accept this care. And they will almost wrestle you down to give it to you. That's rare, man. Because most folks can't see past what they want to get to what you need. You know, that's just my thoughts on it. God bless that sister, whatever her name was, Dr. Word.
Go ahead, hop in, Red.
I mean, a couple things with Jay put the example too about the people in your life that are the performative sympathy and empathy or care, but the demands never stop. You know what I mean? Within that, like they're still demanding, they're still asking. The hand is still out,
expecting.
Exactly. So all of that still exists in that space. So, you know, you're not actually getting any relief within that. And then there's the expectations that we put on each other. Like, one, you put on yourself, give yourself some grace, you know, learning to say, man, I'm doing a lot. And that it's okay to take that break without feeling the guilt. And then the second part is when cats aren't putting in the work, you know, your ability, how we're quick to condemn, you know what I mean? Without necessarily knowing where that brother is, you know, in his journey. You know what I mean? So you'd be like, hey man, I'm over here working, cat. You know what I mean? I hear you. That's what we got to do. You know what I mean? We do what we do, but that isn't necessarily constructive for each other. You know, we need to do a better job. It is not. We shouldn't have to do it. Is what I'm saying. And we need to do a better job of telling each other, because I just rarely ever see it coming from the other side. So it's going to be incumbent upon men to do that for men, and create that space for men, for Black men in particular, to feel comfortable with, like, hey man, I'm going to disengage here and take care of my man, physical needs. Like, you know, what's my blood pressure right now? You know what I'm saying? You know, what's my stress level? You know, all these things, and have an understanding of it. And then within that space, you know, encouraging each other to get the things that we need, because we are the ones who have a better understanding of what it is to be in that space. So, you know, we got to create that space for each other, you know, and then demand it in those other spaces.
Agreed. I like what she said about redefining strength and redefining success. I mean, redefining all that, redefining manhood, redefining And then the little steps, the baby steps that she offered, I thought could be a great place for some brothers. If yeah, but again, no shame, no diss. And once again, I think she's important to the conversation when we think about um, uh, our Black community, our Black people, our Black society. That anchored in families, anchored in community, community, neighbor connection. And so I think her efforts to, like Jay said, speak to women about what brothers are talking. Hey, it was almost like she was the closed caption to what that brother was saying, right? And I thought it was a powerful clip. And so, yeah, there's something also that you said, Rand, about, and you too, Jay, it's how do you know what's going on with one another? And so as a stopgap, as a small way to get at, to help, to grow, to deepen your relationship, I think it's this very simple to ask. How are you? How did working 80 hours this week, how did working 60 hours this week impact you? What do you need in light of that? Rather than assuming this is what a person needs, like, oh, I did X, Y, and Z. Well, maybe that's not what I need right now. I might need something different. And so we talked about spouse school earlier. And so that spouse school, ask me. It's okay. I'll ask you too. Let that be a part of how we grow and do life together. Let's engage one another about needs, wants, desires. Go ahead, Ren.
Oh no.
Okay.
I'm just listening. And,
okay. I thought you want to hop in. But yeah, I think that's a good, to me, just a real basic stopgap of weekly check-ins, bi-weekly check-ins. How are you? What was the best part of your week? What was the most challenging part of your week? What do you need from me in light of your challenges? Just simple, engaging questions. And I've gotten here, and I have that from, I remember I used to drop off and pick up my wife from work, and I remember it'd be like, I used to ask stuff like, how was your day? And then she started explaining and telling and reliving her whole day. And there may have been parts of that day that didn't go so well for her. So now she's reliving it, right? So A, I didn't want to hear that whole day, really. And B, I didn't want her to relive those parts that weren't cool. So, the pivot was, hey, what was the best part of your day? What did you learn about yourself today? Given your challenges, how did you, overcome, felt empowered, after going through that challenge? Tell me about that. So A, it's a much more engaging conversation. It's a much more engaging conversation for the person who gets those questions, who's answering the questions, and it's, you get to learn more about one another. The deeper understanding creates deeper empathy, creates deeper patience and connection. So yeah, that's what I got. So
and I don't want to diminish what the sister's saying. Like she's
no, not at all.
I think what she's saying though should definitely be geared for women. You know what I mean? And helping in those situations. You know what I mean? And
their understanding of us.
Yes, 100%. 100%. And kind of what you said, like for me, it's not cathartic for me to like go through things like, you know what I mean? Like I don't feel good after describing all that. like to me, it is definitely reliving it. When I don't need to unpack my day like that. I know exactly what the day was. You know what I mean? I know what it entails. I know what had
Right.
happened. I am trying to escape that shit. You know what I
Right.
mean? I
I
am trying.
mean, man, I don't. It don't matter if it's bullshit or dog shit on the bottom of your shoe.
Just
It's
shit.
shit,
Real shit.
and that's how I look at it most days. You know, and I dealt with the shit. I don't want to deal with the shit right now. You know, so but that also goes to knowing who you're with
Mhm.
and having a customized program
Mhm.
for that person
Yeah.
instead of the generic program that you've given to everybody else that you want them to fit in. Pro tip.
Pro tip. Love it. I love it. I love it. Hey,
Shit.
we got a couple of folks in the audience in the chat. If you want to chat, hit a comment, hit a like, share. We've had a great conversation. I think the arc of the conversation tonight was on point. I want to thank JT, CT, as Mr. Porter used to call him. Thank my man Rennie, Dio behind the boards. Hey man, we got a new. We are official affiliates of Tally and Twine watches. That's the Tuskegee Airman version. Big ups to Mr. Porter, the Ghost of Lebo's dad, who was a Tuskegee Airman. We're gonna get that up.
Hey Rob.
Yeah.
Hey, before I go, while I got this on my mind, I want to share a story, and it relates to what we was talking about.
Okay.
So my sister, who I love dearly, before I tell this story,
yeah,
my older sister, she is 4 years older than me. Okay, so I was in junior high, what they call middle school now, and she was in high school, and we was both bused to different locations thanks to high test scores. And so I came home from John Burroughs Junior High, where I went, which is in the Wilshire district,
Hancock Park.
Yeah, where I went to middle school with the chosen people.
That's a good way of putting
that. And so I got 5 A's and a B on my report card, which was impressive, especially considering the fact that I don't study. So I am skipping home, singing Bubbling Brown Sugar like I'm one of the Givens kids. Oh, what's happening? And I came home. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I was telling you, boy, because I'm a mean old lion. He's mean. I was going, right? So I give my mother my report card, and she looks at it and she goes, well, your sister got straight A's. You need to do better. What happened? Right? So to my mother, I was like, I got to get straight A's, Ma. She was like, yeah, but it's cool. And then I turned around, and as I walked away, I was like, fuck that black bitch. Can't stand that black, as I went to my room. Right? I wasn't about my sister. I was just a little upset at the moment. I'm just saying, I love my sister. That's my girl. Okay. All I'm trying to say is, as I gotten older, her, and despite my mother's reaction, my sister's straight A's did not diminish my 5 A's and a B. Both are great accomplishments. I just had to learn how to be comfortable in my own skin and my performance and not look for the validation of anybody. And that includes my own mother. And when I found that out and when I discovered that, I was firmly 10 toes down in my manhood.
Wow.
So now 13-year-old me still would have walked away calling her black bitch. But that was just me though. Apologize. I was 13 and mad. But now a much older and seasoned man that I am would have never brought the report card for a review.
Ooh.
because
I see what you did.
my performance is not for your review anyway. It's for my own, because my standard is my standard, and most times it's gonna be greater than yours anyway. Because I know everything that's involved
Right.
and everything that had to happen to even get this result.
That's
So I'm feeling real philosophical right now because my daughter's about to start college.
Tuskegee University, look out.
Yeah, and so we've been having a lot of life talk. You know, life talk mixed with real talk.
Oh my goodness.
You know, and
Yeah.
she asked, well, why you and mommy break up? I said it was in the beginning of a Parliament song. Never learned to swim, couldn't catch the rhythm of the stroke.
Why should I hold my breath?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, any final words, gentlemen? That was a good final word, Jay. Any final words, friend?
Man, about to go put this baby to sleep.
Yeah,
that's right. Daddy duty.
Yes, sir.
Duty. Daddy.
Most beautiful, painful experience God ever gave us.
I love
100%.
it. I love it. Hey man, I want to thank and appreciate all of you. Thank you, Dio, for what you're doing. Thank you guys for your time, for your efforts, for pouring into the subject, for putting us out there for other brothers and other people to get value from this conversation. Because hey man, we're just some guys just talking, man, just giving our opinions and talking about our experience and perspective on lives, how we see it, and which can be rare sometimes. So I appreciate the value that we bring. I appreciate the value that you all bring. And I thank you for trusting me on this journey. I appreciate you guys. Oh,
hey! Yeah, boy, heartbreaker.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck, brother.
Mm-hmm.
She just gave y'all a kiss.
Oh.
I'll take it all day long, twice on Sunday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Damn.
All right.
All right, y'all.
All right. Be safe. Be safe going to the airport, Jay. And get some rest.
Yeah. All right, fellas. Later.
All right. See you in a minute, Dio.